Coming up, food shortages on Sierra Leone's final day of Ebola lockdown. Handouts of rice were distributed only to some families ordered to stay in their homes. World Bank says Ebola spread may have catastrophic costs. I think it already has. Also, Saul Alinsky letters have been released between Hillary Clinton and Saul Alinsky. Look at that creepy control freak if you're watching us on TV. Hillary Clinton when she was young. They had her in Life magazine when she was a college student, telling us then how she would be our superstar boss. And of course, new documents have been leaked showing the big telecom companies with the big video game makers literally being run by top anti-male feminists to put all their anti-family, anti-male messages out there as women prepare to literally wed the state. All run by the Central Intelligence Agency. Gloria Steinem in the 80s wrote a book and admitted that she was given the money to start that whole organization. Miss Magazine has nothing to do with empowering women. It's about absolutely breaking up any type of community, and it's truly sickening. We told you this was coming. USA Today reports tax refunds will be cut for American Affordable Care Act recipients, or Obamacare. So we told you that it had all sorts of little red tape in there like that. So there you go. Like death panels, the Affordable Care Act. What a deal. But first, let's go ahead and go to your phone calls. Let's talk to Kenneth in Louisiana. Kenneth, thanks for calling today. Welcome.
Hey, Alex. I just wanted to talk to you for a minute about the climate change protesters. You know, this is kind of amazing to me that they'll get up there with the signs and they'll talk about CO carbon emissions and all this, but nobody wants to talk about geoengineering. Nobody wants to talk about the chemicals that are being sprayed in the air. And like, I'll give you an example, like C-SPAN. They'll get up there and talk about it like they do today, and nobody mentions it. It's just like, let's just keep quiet about that. Let's don't say anything about that. We'll talk about everything else, but when somebody gets on the phone and tries to say something about it, they cut them off. That's just amazing to me, and I just wanted to get your take on that.
They have to keep up appearances on C-SPAN, and all the time I'm sent YouTube clips that listeners have compiled where an entire hour of phone calls will be dominated by plugs for Infowars.com, plugs for our documentaries, people talking about the New World Order. They'll have a Council on Foreign Relations or Trilateral Commission member on, and they will literally get besieged by informed listeners that will start quoting the different treasonous statements back at them until they panic and shut it down because they can't stand being challenged. The fake environmental movement is about global zoning, population control, selective enforcement of regulations to allow only certain insider groups to operate and flourish, or feudalism. And exactly, they want to tax carbon dioxide that's part of the life cycle, oxygen, carbon dioxide, sunshine, and water. Got to have those things. If they can tax one of those, we know sunshine's good, we know water's good, we know oxygen's good, so they target carbon dioxide while they ignore all the GMO, the cross-species engineering, the geoengineering of the climate, all the things that are admitted to be going on. Oh, forget that. You are just someone that wants to kill the earth because you won't turn control over to the UN and these select corporations. That's a great point, and I appreciate your call. In fact, since he mentioned it, let's go ahead and go to a clip. Climate change skeptics call out marchers' hypocrisies. And all they did was send out onto the streets PJTV to go bring up some simple questions. Look at how you came here on buses. Look at how you got garbage everywhere. Look how much you're consuming. Look at how your cell phone is getting its power from coal. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who we've interviewed before, by the way, literally blew up and just got flustered. It's like when I had Rothschild on, one of the main Rothschild heirs who pushes all this stuff and puts out books where polar bears can't swim for kids. We famously had him on promoting his book. And when I said, well, why are the ice caps on Mars? Because that was 8 years ago, and so it was still some solar system warming. I said, why is its ice caps getting smaller, not just ours? Of course, it stopped right around that time, and now they've been growing. And he said, well, that's because Mars is closer to the sun than the Earth, dummy. And I said, no, it's Mercury, Venus, Earth, with third rock, and then Mars, and then out to the gas giants. And he just said, no, it's not, and laughed at me. Now, obviously, he knew Mars was further out. But it's a religion of disdain for the public's ignorance and training you to just throw it in your face that we're going to fund ISIS to fight ISIS and then change the name to ISIL to confuse people. So that's a great point. Let's go ahead and play a clip of this video. Here it is.
Are you concerned about the damage that the cell phone and electricity generation causes to the environment?
Are you joking about this?
No, I want to know if you're willing to give up your iPhone. Are you willing to give? Why not? Doesn't it start with people like you? You're here saying you want.
No, it starts by changing the laws so to rationalize the marketplace.
I think it's even better. The video's up on Infowars.com right now. And I want to commend PJTV. It's better than their old days where they would have people stand behind me yelling, kill Michelle Malkin, and then blame me for it when it was on video that I didn't say it. But whatever. Hey, they want to keep our power plants on. I like them. Good job. They do a lot of really, really great work over there. Now, continuing, and then I'm going to go back to your calls on this issue. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has exposed that vaccines are clearly linked to autism. I appreciate him for that. He has spoken out and said we should investigate cell phone radiation and brain tumors that killed his uncle. I think he's actually a guy that means well. Because I've talked to him on air and off air. And I know folks that are friends with him. So I don't want to just demonize every liberal out there. He is a useful idiot. And I've been an idiot before as well. All of us are learning. It's a process, but I mean, he is a useful idiot. That's what Lenin called well-meaning people that went along with the communists. And the media demonized him for coming out and speaking out and saying we should investigate vaccines when it's overwhelming. By the end of the week, last week, I had said there were 3 mainstream news articles worldwide, or 3 different big events, hundreds of articles worldwide. There was a 4th by Sunday, I didn't get to. In a 7-day period, 4 scandals on 3 continents. No, 4 continents. Because there were 4 scandals. With vaccines killing large numbers of children that took them. HPV, polio shots, you name it. Killing people in Latin America, in South America, in Central Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa. Simply mind-blowing. So I don't want to just sit here and attack people like Kennedy. He really thinks you should turn your guns in. He really thinks carbon's going to kill us all. And at least he's against a bunch of GMO stuff that's out of control. So many scientists come to me. I ran to one of them at the KC Research event who was a biologist. And he said, Alex, why are you against GMO? And I said, well, they're putting Trojan horse stuff into it, and they're not testing it right. I've read the studies by the companies that put it out themselves. It's really dangerous to mix plant and animals together, and it's really dangerous to be, and I mean, are you denying that, take the case of BT corn, within 3 generations of feeding it to rodents, they're almost completely sterile, and it goes for the same for almost all of them? I mean, this is real, what we're talking about here. This is real. And so I don't just take issues because they're liberal or conservative, and then I decide something has validity to it because it fits into my worldview. I really try to find out what's going on. All right, I said I'd take a lot of calls, and I've taken 1 call. Let's go to Dan in Louisiana. Dan, thanks for calling.
Hi, Alex. Calling from FEMA Region 6.
Good to have you on.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that I have taken part in the Info War. I was working, I do work in the oil refineries down here in Louisiana. I do an inspection. And I was working with a gentleman. I'd rather not say his name on the air. I don't know if he wants me to announce who he is, but whatever. He had the first and probably the only Ron Paul town hall in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, when Ron Paul was running for president. So he's big-time conservative, big-time libertarian. And he and I were having, a lot of discussions about how to pass on the information of the info war. So he gave me a good idea. He said, man, why don't you go get a business card? Because instead of telling somebody about the constitutional free zone or telling them our Bill of Rights are under attack or there's no more passe comitatus, why don't you just get a card made, hand them something that they can put in their purse, pocket, or wallet, and maybe when you're not around, they may refer back to it. So I did just that. I've been passing them out. And if it's okay, can I read my card over the air?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, it starts out, Free Americans for America, in big, thick black letters at the top of it. And then underneath that, I continued on with help preserve our republic. Are you aware of these 4 things? 1, constitutional free zone 100 miles inland of America's coastlines. 2, our Constitution and Bill of Rights are under attack. 3, the end of passe comitatus in America. 4, our government has been putting fluoride in our water supply for years. To become more informed of these issues, you can type items 1 through 4 as listed on any internet search engine. Also, go to Infowars.com.
Beautiful.
God bless America.
That's beautiful, brother. Thank you so much, and God bless you. That's how we're going to reach more people. And I'll just tell you, the power structure is hopping mad at us right now. They're attacking us from every angle because our talking points that we put out, which are based in real research and reality, are getting picked up by Congress and by the media. And that's the real power of this operation, is not even our audience of 20 million people and growing. That's conservative. But a base audience of 20 million. We're reaching hundreds of millions every year, one way or another, through different venues. And it's getting people to start thinking from an outside perspective of getting outside the box. And it's really making the establishment get upset. So please don't take Infowars.com for granted. Thank you for putting up with me at the same time. It is a very hard task we've got here, but it's also an invigorating task. It's historical what's happening. And we really have a chance to make the world a better place. But regardless, I know this, tyrants are taking over. If we don't at least slow them down, we're not going to have any freedom or any prosperity. It's getting serious. I want to go to Emma in Oregon. Emma in Oregon is listening on 880 AM KCMX. Go ahead, Emma, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to, I was having a conversation with my nephew who just got back from the Navy the other day for a visit, and he was telling me about all the vaccinations that they were giving him, and we just got into a conversation about that. And I was, like, looking up because he was just, like, defending them so much, and I have 2 little kids, and I choose, like, not to vaccinate them because, well, I was reading about it, and this doctor was saying online, it was a really interesting article, and he was saying that, well, obviously the vaccinations, they make your body create antibodies to protect against the disease eventually. So, but the human body can't even do that until 6 months old. And they try and vaccinate your kid before they even leave the hospital for hepatitis B, before you even leave the hospital.
Well, let's expand on that. If your baby's not having sex or using intravenous drugs with HIV positive people and doesn't have an immune system to begin with, why would you give them a hepatitis shot? It's one of the most vicious, toxic shots out there, has some of the worst side effects. They want to set the precedent early to put hundreds of different vaccines in your child by the time they're 10 years old, more than 40 by the time they're 2. And most of the vaccines don't even approximate what the real pathogen is. They always act like we're debating that you can get learned immunity, artificial immunity, from a vaccine by introducing a small amount of attenuated virus or whatever the pathogen is. No, we know vaccines work. We know vaccine science is 500 years old with smallpox. They would take a needle or a stick and pop some of the pus of it and from somebody that had it, and then when you were well, instead of already being run down when you got it, you had a better chance of beating it, okay? But still, it would kill you sometimes. It's very dangerous. So all we're saying is there's major side effects. Now, that's if you have a government trying to be good and trying to have liability so that there is some culpability there so that people can get in trouble. Instead, it's all secret. They have a big tribunal with $5 billion cash of taxpayer money to secretly pay people off. They got to sign forms, never speak about it. They'll lie to you and say, There's no side effects on the vaccine. When you read the insert, it'll tell you it can kill you. I don't care what vaccine it is. Read it. One of the side effects is death. Gardasil, death. MMR, death. Guillain-Barré, epilepsy, narcolepsy. And there were 4 events last week in Colombia and Syria and Pakistan and Africa. In the continent of Africa. Forget which country it was. The point is you can look it up. Where kids are getting sterilized or paralyzed or dying right after they take shots. So they just sit here thinking we're ignorant and go, nothing's happening, nothing's wrong. Why don't you want a shot? Why are you against science? What, do you want to go live with Fred Flintstone and Barney? Hold on, I'm going to come back to you. See, they don't. People ask for the paperwork now. They give you a fact sheet. A fact sheet that the company tells them to give you. You don't want the fact sheet. You want the drug insert that comes in the box. It's got the molecule and the breakdown on it. Going back to Emma in Oregon, 880 AM KCMX. There is nothing more frustrating than being on air 20 years, having 3 children, going through schools wanting you to go get vaccines, even private ones, and not even knowing that there are waivers when upwards of 20% of the country is getting the waivers. And it's not a waiver to a law. It's just a policy they want you to get the waiver. But the schools will lie to you and tell you that there's not a waiver. My children are in a private school right now where they're informed and are patriots and know what's going on. But most of these vaccines on record don't protect you. They have serious side effects. And then they're adding a lot of Trojan horse type things to them. This is a government and a system caught doing secret lethal experiments on white people, black people, Hispanics, you name it, veterans, troops. Why would you trust anything they do? Why would you buy into any of it? And then I get so upset because I see the pattern of fraud, this pattern of criminal conspiracy, where they just tell the workers at the different drugstores and places, but also the shot clinics and the rest of it, just say safe and effective and give them a fact sheet saying there's no side effects or that your arm might be sore. And so you go up to Walgreens and you say, we've done this on video for the nightly news. Yes, we'd like to know about the side effects. Okay, here's a fact sheet. We go, no, we want the insert that came in the little box with the ampule. Oh, you want that here. Oh, and then you read that. Oh, this can paralyze or kill me? Wow. I thought it was safe and effective. You mean the shingles shot can give me the shingles? You mean the tetanus shot can give me tetanus? You mean hepatitis shots can kill me? And so you've got a mom out there trying to get informed about it. And you mentioned the, quote, fact sheet they give you. Go ahead and finish up, Emma.
Well, it's just that, it tells you how many people in, like, the estimate, like, how many people get, like, these horrible, like, autism or permanent side effects from it. And it's really scary. But also the other thing is the reason I do not trust my doctor or my kid's dentist is, like, they force the fluoride on you, the oral fluoride that they want you to give your kid, the drops. And every single time I go to the doctor, are you giving your kid fluoride? They force it on you. They send in a prescription to the pharmacy every single time for me. I never go pick it up, but it's scary. Like, why? They know that that's not good for your kid. Why are they giving it to a little baby?
You're talking about fluoride tablets?
The drops. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I never got.
Well, listen, school districts all over the country are stopping that. I remember being a kid in first and second grade, and they would have us take the fluoride pills, and I would get deathly ill and just lay on the ground. And I would basically crawl out of the building with half the other kids to meet our parents outside when I went to Margaret Sanger Kindergarten in Dallas. I remember a few times a year when the red pills would come with the free toothbrush with a little animal or something on the handle that I learned to dread it by the first grade. I wasn't a rocket scientist. I just knew these red pills bring pain. And now they admit it causes dental fluorosis. It does nothing to protect your teeth. total fraud, social engineering, just like the White House science czar said in EcoScience, they would add things to the water to brain damages, and they've done a great job. So don't go to InfoWarsStore.com and get a ProPure G2 filter and cut the fluoride out. Drink extra. David Rockefeller is counting on it. Second hour coming up. We got callers that want to talk about ISIS, callers that want to talk about international courts, missing children, callers that want to talk about being kicked out of school for wearing a pro-gun shirt, callers that want to talk about peaceful protest and a Prison Planet article, and more. We're going to get to all of you. Coming up, we get a quick 10-minute update from Joe Biggs about an NBC article. It's also on CBS now. It just broke minutes ago nationally. Police search for missing Afghan soldiers on Cape Cod. Does anybody remember how many times they've car bombed or truck bombed or shot people up? Just last month, they killed the highest-ranking general, Major General Harold G. Green, was killed August 5th. So a month and a half ago, roughly. About a month and a half ago, exactly. So this is pretty serious information. I'm not saying these guys are going to do that. It just shows how precarious the security is inside this nation, working with the Afghans, getting in their business, and then bringing them over here. Jesse in Minnesota, thanks for holding her on the air.
Thanks for letting me on, Alex. How are you?
I'm good, brother. What'd you call in about?
Well, I wanted to call in about ISIS, but like you just brought up with the Afghan soldiers missing here in America, I mean, didn't just a couple weeks ago the government admit to training ISIS in Jordan, and they said that all of those rebels were vetted and that they, were just moderates. They were not trying to, use our skills and our weapons to fight against us. And now look.
That's exactly what I went into the writers, and I just said an hour ago. I said, we need to report on this, saying, hey, Afghan soldiers still missing. It's been like a week, actually. They're just now reporting on it, saying this weekend. No, it's the weekend before, from what we can gather in these articles. And they were all vetted in Afghanistan. They were all vetted, the rebels in Syria and Jordan. They were all vetted, the guy that killed General Green. So I don't want to hear that the Afghan military is vetted when they are one of the #1 causes of U.S. soldiers losing their lives. Regardless of what you think about the war, I don't think we should be over there from the time it started. But I know this, they better not bring them here, and then when they do something, God forbid, not this group, but others, potentially, then who loses their freedoms, Jesse?
Well, we do. And that is BS all the way. There's no reason for us to lose our freedoms because people somewhere across the entire world away from us are trying to, kill Christians and create jihad on their own people. It has nothing to do with our freedoms personally. And for the government to say, no, now we have to stick our fingers up you or whatever at the airport, or, we get to have checkpoints every 30 miles and make sure you're not drinking and driving, take away your freedoms. It's total bull, and it's a lie. It's all a lie. They cannot stop us from, exercising our constitutional rights.
Exactly, and I don't care whether the threat's real or not. Stop saying that I lose my freedom. That's the Soviet model or the totalitarian model, is to say one of your neighbors was bad, so you've all got to go to the gulag or go to the forced labor camp or do community service. No, because someone goes into a school and shoots people, I don't lose my guns. Because somebody stabs someone or beats them over the head with a baseball bat, I don't lose my baseball bat or my knife. This collectivist idea of we've got to have death panels for old people because we have socialist health care now. Well, that's why I didn't want socialist health care, because we're now all in this big social engineering nightmare. Thank you. Looks like they may have located 2 of the 3 missing Afghan soldiers in Buffalo. I'm sorry. There were some other Afghans that were missing. Oh, I'm sorry. Just print it all. I can't even keep track of it anymore. Oh, my goodness. This is, okay, so they haven't found the 3. And our border's wide open. But if I want to fly, I got a naked body scan. We'll be right back. Stay with us. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.